How's it going, Rogues Gallery, and welcome to another card game spotlight video. Today is a really exciting one because I finally get to talk about ZODIAC's Hime. This is a very interesting tile placement game with absolutely gorgeous anime style artwork where all of the characters are loosely based on the Chinese zodiac. So we have like, you got tiger, you got dog, you got horse, all that kind of stuff. Only 6 of them are in the first set. There will be a second set released later, and this is kind of like a board game kind of deal. It's not like a random booster product. You buy this, you get all the stuff in here. It's not, there's no chase. With that said, the price is actually really good. I think this retails for about 30 bucks, and it is currently on sale for pre-sale for about 23 US dollars, and it's a pretty hefty box. I mean, you can't really tell, you know, I'm just holding it, but it's a pretty heavy product. This game was sent to me by the creator, Josh Bakken, and I want to give a shout out to him for sending this to me so I can check it out. It's something I was very interested in, and turns out I was very, pleasantly surprised. Or I shouldn't say surprised. I had a lot of fun playing this, is basically what I was trying to say. I'm used to playing a lot of card games. I do dabble in some board game stuff, but this kind of plays like a card game. It doesn't have exactly mechanics like, Magic the Gathering, a Pokemon, but there are some similarities between those kind of games and this. It is like a tile placement game, so you kind of, make a grid. I will show you a little bit more in detail when we get to like the top-down view, but yeah, I think it's actually a lot of fun. I love the art style. I cannot wait for the second set because there's going to be like dragon and a bunch of other like really cool creatures. So without further ado, let's just get to it and start looking at some of the really cool tiles here.
So this is ZODIAC's Hime, specifically the starter set 1, first edition and first printing. I mentioned this because there will be a starter set 2. I've kind of already talked about it a little bit, but it will feature the other 6 characters of the Chinese zodiac. So, you got dragon, you got monkey, you got all that kind of awesome stuff in the second starter set. If you folks like this, I will make another video on the second starter set when it comes out, but I digress. Let's start talking about this one because this is a really fun game. I will have a link in the description down below of where you can go pick this up if you'd like to pick it up, but yeah, let's get started. So like I said, it is a pretty hefty, game. It's not like a ton of pieces or anything like that, but it's kind of heavy because they are like just solid tiles. And I do know there will be sleeves for these tiles, which is actually pretty awesome. So here is a little rule book on how to play. I'll kind of go over how to play very quickly, but as you can see, it has beautiful, very cute like anime style artwork. So like this is like the pig. She's got some food, dude. She's just ready to chomp down. This is the ram, also cute. Look at her little tiny horns. But yeah, this does go in depth on how to play the game. Got this bunny tiger glomp there. And yeah, but like I said, we will go over how to play as we just kind of like talk about these. So these are the decks. You basically have 2 decks. They're kind of already pre-sorted when you get them. We've already played a bunch with this, so we've shuffled them up quite a bit. I'm just gonna kind of flip this upside down and just dump it out. By the way, that's kind of like the best way to take these out, honestly, without like damaging them too much. I just kind of flip it upside down and then slide it up. There you go. Look at that. And we take off the little divider here. I did play this with my girlfriend. We played many games, actually. This game, like I said, it's a ton of fun to play. She mostly played with like the tiger, horse, and dog deck, and I played with the pig, rabbit, and goat deck. Some of the decks are more... They lean into certain strategies more than others. So let's kind of set some of this stuff aside, and I'm just going to kind of start showing you some of the tiles and what they do. They're all shuffled up here, so there's not in any particular order. These ones that say reaction and action are just kind of like placeholder tokens, and also you can kind of see here the quality of the tiles is very nice. It's a very nice, sturdy, high quality tile. It's not like a flimsy, cheap, doesn't feel cheap at all. And here you can actually see what the tiles are. These are action cards. So let me get you a couple different examples here. So there's like basically 3 main types of cards, right? So there are, here, let's find some. Cool. There's one, here's one, and here is another. So I'm going to say these are like the 3 main types of tiles in the game. This one is just kind of a character card. It has like a strength and an intellect here. You only use that strength and intellect when you battle. We'll talk about battling a little bit later. This one is an action card. You just play the action card and you do the things on it. It's also very simple. And this one is an item card. A little more complicated than the other 2. It's kind of like a character card, but it has like an effect. So basically how the game plays is on your turn, you can place one tile from your hand. So let's just pretend, let's pretend this is my like starting hand, right? This is my starting hand. You keep a hand of these tiles like you would be playing like a trading card game, It's actually very, very simple. This game is quite simple to learn. My girlfriend is not a huge fan of trading card games, honestly, and she thought this was a lot of fun. So take that for what you will. It's also, people who don't like trading card games can really enjoy this game. People who do like trading card games, like me, obviously, also can really enjoy this game. So, for example, say I'm going first. It's my turn. I would play this little tiger down. It's facing me, and you make like a grid here. So when your opponent goes to play, they will need to place it in one of the adjacent spaces here. I can also do other things too. So I can place one card that has a strength and intellect. So I could have chosen to place this tiger totem instead. But if I do, I cannot place this tiger totem. You can also choose to play an action. You can actually choose to play up to 2 actions. We'll talk about actions in just a minute, but I want to talk about one of the big cruxes of the game here. So let's say I don't want to do anything else. Let's say I'm just going to play this tiger token. So I play the tiger. It's not a token. I play the tiger tile. And then my opponent, let's say, just grab these cards. Let's say these are in her hand, right? She is going to play like the ram. And she has to play the ram other than the first card. The first card can be played directly in the middle. But every other card needs to be placed adjacent. So let's say she places the ram, which is, this card here. She places the ram there, kind of like opposing the tiger. And then let's say she's not going to do anything else. Her turn is done. On my turn, let's say I want to place this dog, right? So I got this dog. I'm going to place the dog next to my tiger. And let's just say, I don't want to do anything else. My turn is done. By the way, at the end of your turn, you always draw one additional tile. That's just kind of important to note. So you draw at the end of your turn, not the start of your turn like most trading card games. And then on her turn, let's say she has this bunny, right? So she's got this rabbit in her hand, and she places the rabbit here. And I want to note right now, you place the tiles facing you, right? So if she placed it here, it would be facing her if she was sitting across from me. If she placed it here, still oriented like this, so you know who played it. So let's say she placed this rabbit here. She has now completed a square, which means 4 tiles, arranged like a square. And when you complete a square, either through placing a card from your hand or by moving tiles around, you then check to see if all of the tiles are compatible with one another. And that's what these little like symbols are, right? So like the tiger is compatible with horse, dog, and pig. The dog is compatible with, mouse, tiger, rabbit, and horse. And, so on and so forth. So you need to check to see if they're all compatible, right? So this is the dog. Is the dog compatible with rabbits? It's compatible with rabbits. Is the rabbit compatible with dogs? Yep, compatible with dogs. Is the rabbit compatible with ram? Yep, compatible with ram. Is the ram compatible with tiger? It is not. So this would not be a point take. If it was compatible, if this tiger was compatible with both the ram and the dog, which it is compatible with the dog, as you can see here. But if it was also compatible with the ram, then the person who placed the tile would get to pick up all 4 of these tiles and then put them in their point zone. And the whole point of the game is to get 12 points, and these would count for 1 each. So that's 4 points. You'd only need to do this 3 times. So a big chunk of this game is just kind of like strategy on where you want to place your tiles. A lot of the time, we honestly just kept placing tiles just in straight lines because no one wanted to make an L shape to risk having to put, them put a tile here and be able to take the whole thing, which, it's kind of funny. There's a lot of strategy there. I actually really like it. Like I said, it's a very enjoyable game. It's also a very simple game to like grasp. And then as you play, you kind of, understand more of the intricacies. So there's more to it than that though. So there's more than just placing tiles. There are also actions, right? So this is an action. It says elementary. It says, action, add together the intellect values of all dogs you control, divide this number by 6 to find X. This tile is now worth X points. Place this in your point tile. So this is a good way to get points. So, for example, when you play a action, if you're familiar with Magic the Gathering or Force of Will or Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever, you make a like a chain stack. So when you play this action, you're like, yo, I'm going to play an action. Then your opponent has a chance to react to this card. So let's find a good reaction here that would actually do an effect. I think there's some in here that actually could like stop this card. So this tile, Meteor, is actually a really good example. It is both an action and a reaction. So you can play it both as an action or as a reaction. So let's say I am trying to play this elementary because I have these 2 dogs, right? 2 dogs with 6 total intellect. So 6 will be divided by 6. I'll get 1 point. 6 divided by 6, it's 1. So I'll get 1 point. But say your opponent's like, no, I don't want you to have any points. So they can play this Meteor. And so what Meteor does is it says, if you have any points, Meteor will cost you 1 point to play. Let's just assume they don't have any right now. Choose a space. Discard all tiles in that space. Place Meteor in that space. While in play, Meteor is considered an obstacle. Basically, an obstacle just sits there and doesn't count for compatibility with any other cards next to it. So let's say they want to react with Meteor. Now, I would have a chance to react as well, but let's say I don't have a reaction here. Let's just say we're going to let this resolve. So I say I pass, and then we resolve what happens. So Meteor will happen first. It's going to smash one of these dogs, right? It's going to land on top of the dog. The dog gets discarded, and it is now a crater. It's now a Meteor crater. And then Elementary will happen, and then now you read the card. So now it's like, you add up all the values, and then you divide it. Well, so this is, you add it up, so it's just 3 divided by 6. That's only half. Yeah, that is less than a point. So you can do this, things like this to affect your opponent's actions, either by, killing or removing their tiles or moving the tiles or anything like that. And that's most of the game. The last thing to talk about is combat. So let's say I want to do combat. So you can do combat on your turn at any time, or rather in any order. So you can play a tile, you can play some actions, you can play basically 2 actions. You can discard 2 tiles from your hand to draw an additional tile, or you can battle. So let's say, once again, these cards are in my hand and I want to battle. Let's say I don't really want this dog. The way you battle is you pick any card from your hand, doesn't matter what it is, and you place it face down. This is the battle stack now. So I'm going to issue a battle. I'm going to say this dog is going to attack this rabbit, right? So dog is going to attack this rabbit. This is the battle stack. Now my opponent now has a chance to react. This is the exact same way you react to an action stack, except this time it is a battle action stack. So they can still play stuff. They can play a reaction like Meteor, or, where's the bunny one that lets you jump around? They can play Rabbit Leap, for example, which is a reaction that lets you jump your rabbit. So if they wanted to attack this rabbit, they could play the Battle Leap here. And they're like, okay, I have a reaction. I'm going to play Battle Leap. And I'm like, oh, I don't have a reaction. So theirs would go off first. And then they would leap their rabbit to a different spot. And now the dog cannot attack it. But let's just say that didn't happen. Let's just say it did happen and they're going to fight. How do you fight? It's really, really simple. So once this all resolves, this tile just kind of gets discarded. And then you compare the intellect and strength of the 2 cards. They have to both beat them. So strength has to beat the strength, and intellect has to beat the intellect. But it's a little bit more complicated than that, because if you have a tile adjacent to the defender, they can either attack with them or defend with them. So for example, I'm controlling this tiger and this dog is attacking the rabbit, right? This rabbit can actually call on this ram for, an ally to help defend, because it is adjacent. Similar is true. Say they had a, let's find a card. Let's say they had another bunny down here, right? Or maybe the bunny is right here. They can also call on that bunny to help for defense. They can call on both of these for defense. And when you do that, you add up all the values. So here it would be, the ram strength plus the 2 rabbit strength. So that would be 6 strength versus the 3 on the dog. So the dog would actually definitely lose this scenario. But the intellect also has to be, higher too. So you add the intellects up on all of these. That is what, 6, 7, 8. Also beating it. So in this case, the defenders would win, and quite handily. But let's say that's not the case, right? Let's say you've already planned this out. You're attacking this rabbit, and you placed a tiger here on that turn. So now your tiger can join in and fight the rabbit. So like the dog and the tiger would both attack the rabbit at the same time. So you would add up their values. So this would be 8 strength versus 1 strength, and 5 intellect versus 3 intellect. And when you win a battle, you capture the piece. And when you capture the piece, it goes into your point pile. So the whole point of battling is to collect more points. I really think the dog, tiger, and horse deck are really good at battling, whereas the rabbit, pig, and ram deck are really good at just completing squares, basically. A lot of these tiles have more like symbols on them rather than these ones. As you can tell, like the dog, not really compatible with that many things. And the tiger, compatible with even less, only pigs, other dogs, and horses, or pigs, dogs, and horses. It's not even compatible with other tigers. And that's basically how you play. Like I said, this game is really fun. It, it takes only like 8 minutes, 10 minutes to learn. There's a bunch of like really cute artwork in here. My girlfriend really liked this deck, the tiger, dog, and horse deck. Here's the horse. We're going to flip through some of the tiles pretty quickly. Cards like Golden Bone help get you more points. And they also reference cards that haven't been printed yet, like the dragon there. She really liked the Neigh, the annual Neigh competition. It's just this kind of like really fun cards in here. Silly accident, discard a creature with an int 3 or less. It's dumb, so it tripped over itself. So yeah, it's really fun. And then there's like the ram and pig and rabbit deck. And as we played, I found some really fun and like cool combos, right? So one that I really liked personally that actually got me some pretty good wins here. I'm gonna pull out 2 action cards that, well, one is an action card, the other one is an item card that I thought were both really fun. By the way, this card, oof, not only is it hilarious, but it's brutal, dude. You can discard one of your rams, choose an opponent, and then they have to discard half the tiles in their hand randomly, rounded up. Yeah, oof. Oof is right. Extinction is pretty brutal too. If you have at least 3 different types of creatures, choose a creature type, kill all those creatures in play. It's a pretty rough one. So here we go. Rabbit hole. This is the one that I wanted to show you about, because you can come up with really cool strategies. One of the main cruxes of the game is you can only place 1 tile per turn, right? 1 tile per turn, and then you have 2 actions. So what I really like about the rabbit hole here is what it says is it's an obstacle. So you place this from your hand the same way you would place a tile, right? But it doesn't count as anything. It doesn't count as a rabbit, doesn't count as anything. So when you're trying to complete a square, this literally just blocks off a space, right? So it makes it harder to complete squares. But as a strength value and an intellect value, that doesn't matter all that much. The only way to remove these is to use other tiles to destroy them with effects, kind of like the meteor. Your opponent can't attack them. You cannot defend with them, but you can attack your own tile to get rid of it if you want to. Anyway, what the rabbit hole says in particular, first of all, it has hilarious artwork here. What it says is, as a reaction, you may place a rabbit you control under this tile. As an action, you may take a rabbit from under this tile and place it into an empty space. If this tile is discarded from the play area, discard all rabbits in the hole. So basically, if you got a bunch of rabbits out, and there's a bunch of rabbits in this deck, I think there's more rabbits than any other like type of card in the deck. So say you have a bunch of rabbits out, right? And your opponent has this tiger. And they're like, yo, this tiger and this dog, let's do it like this, right? Let's say we got it like this. This tiger and this dog are going to kill this rabbit, right? They're going to gang up and they're going to fight this rabbit and they're going to try to capture it. Well, when they do their battle stack, so let's say this is their battle stack, I can do a reaction here. So as my reaction, instead of using a card from my hand to do reaction, I can just use like this placeholder, say, yo, I'm going to do a reaction, use the rabbit hole, and then once, say they are not going to do anything else in response, right? So they're not going to do anything else. The reaction happens, and then the rabbit gets tucked underneath to safety. So then they can't fight it or capture it. What I really like about this, though, is the action part. So for the action part, it says, as an action, you can take a rabbit from under this tile and then place it anywhere. This actually gets over that like 1 per turn limit, playing the 1 tile per turn. So you could technically play 3 rabbits in a single turn if you had, so let's say, let's do like the best case scenario, right? Say you've had a game where you had to protect a lot of your rabbits, right? Let's set up this scenario. We have 2 rabbits already under the hole, right? 2 rabbits in the hole. We have this pig in play and 2 rabbits in the hole. Let's say the hole is like right there, right? So I have 2 rabbits in the hole. So on my turn, I can actually say, I'm going to take an action. And so you would use a placeholder for that because, you know, it's gonna, you know, you're not gonna put this card there. So you're gonna take this action, use this placeholder, and then your opponent can respond if they'd like to with a reaction. And it will put a rabbit from here anywhere into play. And you can actually take 2 actions per turn, right? So let's say I'm gonna take another action on my turn, put another rabbit down here. So that's both my actions. Well, I can still place a tile. Look at this, I got a rabbit in my hand. Place the rabbit from my hand on the tile, and now they have, you know, a complete square. They all match, and then I get to take all 4 of these, you know, 4 points. This card is really cool. Any card that lets you, like, you know, circumvent like core game mechanics tend to be really good. And that's just one example of the kind of like fun synergy you can find in these decks. Like I said at the start, this game is a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. Think of it kind of like a board game, or more like a unique style board game. I think this game would be fun for people who like card games because there is that stack mechanic, just like Magic the Gathering or Force of Will or Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever. But it also has, you know, just kind of more like board gamey mechanics. A lot of people can understand them. You don't have to be a Magic player to understand this. You're just trying to get 12 points. So yeah, I like this a lot. Oh, this is the other card I want to talk about, by the way. Push. Push is really cool. It says you can move a ram you control to the left or right. So you can't move it in any direction, right? You can only move it to the left or right. So let's say we got this pig here, right? You can only move it to the left or right. So you play your push. You can only push this way or move it this way. When you do push, it actually pushes all of the tiles with it. So I did have a game where I almost won pushing a bunch of tiles and then lining these tiles up with tiles above them, completing a square, and they all matched, and then I got to take all 4 of them. Unfortunately for me, it wasn't enough to win, and then my girlfriend on her turn played a card that let me steal one of the points from my point pile, and then she went back and ended up winning that one. But it's still a really cool strategy. There's a lot of like cool things you can do, so you can actually plan ahead and place tiles in, you know, places where you know they can't complete a square now, but perhaps you can, you know, use your ram later. Let's pretend the ram is here. You can use your ram later and then do a push and be able to push them into position and be able to take them. Zoo Tiles Hime supports up to 4 players at a time, but a single starter set would support only 2. So you need 2 starter sets to play with 4 players. This game is planned to launch later in 2020 if the pre-order indication is correct. Looks like the pre-order pricing ends in 27 days. So I would say this game's probably going to launch around then, possibly. And if you like it, I would highly recommend picking it up. Like I said, it is a ton of fun. We will probably be playing this again. I'm actually really excited to see what they do with the next set, to see, like, you know, dragon and monkey and all of those, you know, really cool ZODIAC characters. The art is very cute and, you know, really, really good, to be honest. And the quality is very high. I also mentioned before that they are going to be making sleeves for this, just to make it so you can shuffle your tiles a lot easier. It's a very cool and unique game. And, you know, at 30 bucks, I think that is a very good value. You know, you compare this to other board games around, you know, similar values. I think you can get a lot of mileage out of this, especially, you know, when you can start like mixing up the decks and kind of swapping them up. They do have kind of like their pre-set, you know, structures, but, you know, when the second set comes out, maybe you can play your like tiger horse dog deck versus their, I don't know, like dragon monkey rat or whatever it is. I don't actually know what it is, but, you know, that kind of stuff. If you like the video, then maybe leave a like, comment, subscribe. I would highly appreciate it. Maybe check out my Patreon if you would like to support me directly, and check the description down below for a link to pick up Zoo Tiles Hime. This is not sponsored or anything like that, but I do really like the product, and you know, I'd like to pass it along to you. If you'd like it, then I highly recommend picking it up. So yeah, without further ado, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time for some more card game content. Yeah, we'll see you later.